Okay, we are here. It's not much different than what we did yesterday. We're still writing equations, yes? So we still need to find m and b. Today we're just kind of looking at what happens if we're not counting by 1. So we have to find m and b. Just a reminder here. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, another thing you need to remember is you can find slope with y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Those are the two things I want you to remember. Okay, so if we have to find slope and y-intercept, what do I already see on the graph? Do I just look at a graph and know the slope, or do I have to solve for the slope or find the slope? Yeah, you have to solve or find the slope. You can't just look at it and know, unless it's a special case. We'll talk about that in a second. But can I look at my graph and just see my y-intercept? Yeah, what's my y-intercept here? 100. So we already know RB. Now we have to use, when it's not counting by ones, I don't like using slope. Okay, so what did I just say? I don't even know. I don't like finding slope on the graph is what I meant to say I don't like using rise over run. So we're going to pick 2 points. Somebody tell me a point. A pretty point.
45.
0, 100 is a good one.
45.
And then you said 45, 10. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be my x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to plug it into that. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what's my y2?
10.
10 minus my y1. Perfect. What's my x2?
45.
Minus my x1.
0.
Perfect. And now type it in your calculator. Ready, go. Type divide first. And then you don't have to, highlight everything when you divide. Did everybody get -2? Perfect. There's our slope. Do we have enough information to write our equation? Yes. So my equation is y equals m, which is -2. What always comes after m? X plus my b, which is 100. Now, we're not going to do the process tables today. We did a lot of that yesterday, so I'm not super worried about that. But there is one thing I want y'all to find. F of 20. I want you to find that. And you can find it from the graph. Graph, not computer. When it's inside parentheses, what is it giving me, x or y? X. Okay, so we're going to look on the x-axis for 20. And what's my y? 60. Good job, y'all. Any questions with that? Okay, cool. Let's look at the next one. This one gives me points, but it gives them to me in function notation. Is that still enough information to plot points? Yeah, so we're just going to rewrite them as a point. So I have -8, 2. And I have 5, 2. Remember, inside is x, outside is y. So it's just an xy point. I want you to plot those points. Plot those points. So from the center, you should go right to the -8 up 2. And then I said right. Left, my goodness. Left 8 up 2, and then right 5 up 2. Now, what do you notice? What's the word for that? Who remembers? Horizontal. Okay, it is a horizontal line. So I don't really even need to worry about any more points because I can just trace that line. Now, if we look at Slope Dude, what part of his face looks like that? His eyes, his nose, or his mouth? His mouth. And remember, on the outside of the mouth, we had his little cheeks. And what did those represent? 0. Well, guess what your slope is? 0. Now, if we forgot that the slope was 0, or we forget, or we didn't look at slope dude, or we don't understand slope dude, that's fine. If we were to have done our y2 minus y1, we would have done 2 minus 2 over x2 minus x1 would have been 5 minus negative 8. What did that give me? So does it still work if we forget? Yes. So we can always use y2 minus y1. What is my y-intercept? 2. So I have enough information now to write my equation. If I write it, I can plug everything in. But do I have to do all of that? No, because what's 0 times x? What's 0 times anything? 0. So really that cancels out, and I just get y equals 2. Now, because they gave it to me in function notation, I want you to be aware that this could also be written in function notation where g of x equals 2. Remember, g of x is just a fancy way of saying y. The only time it's talking about x is when x is by itself. Okay? And what do you notice matches in my points? X or y? Y. So this is when our y's match. When our y's match. When our y's match, it's a y equals equation with no x. Now, another thing I want you to realize is you can always type it in your calculator if you're unsure. Did it work? Is that the same thing? So we did it right. I will say our calculators growing up would do this one, but they wouldn't do our next one. So y'all are lucky, y'all's does. Okay, first off, function or not a function? It is a function. Think about it. If I do vertical line test, does my pen ever touch the line more than once? No, so that's why it's a function. And then domain and range. We're going to talk about that. Domain, range. Well, my domain is my side to side. What's the farthest left this goes? Does it go left forever? Does it go right forever? So who remembers what that means?
All real numbers.
All real numbers. My domain is all real numbers. Now, does this go down or up forever? Does the up and down ever change? What is the only height this line is ever at? So guess what your range is? 2. That's just my fancy brackets. I know they're so pretty. You'll see it that way, so I'm always going to put it that way. Proper yes is always have the brackets. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Everybody okay with this one? Any questions? Okay. Computer should be at the top of our desk right now. Plot these 2 points. Plot these 2 points. What do we notice this time?
It's both the same way.
Yeah, it's vertical. What's the same? What matches this time? The x. This is where the x match. So when the y's match, it's horizontal. When the x's match, it's vertical. Okay, well, will this ever, because again, we're trying to find M and B. Well, looking at slope, dude, who can tell me what the slope is? What part of his face is it? Eyes, nose, or mouth? Nose. And in his nose, we have that big U at the bottom. What does that stand for? Undefined. When it is a vertical line, it is an undefined slope. Pretty much that means there is no slope. Okay? And then B, does this ever touch the y-axis? No, so there is none. I can't even put 0 because if you put 0, you're telling me it touches right here. So if it has no slope and no y-intercept, I can't write a y equals mx plus b equation. So we write an x equals equation. X equals what? What does x equal for both? 2. So again, if you forget and you want to make sure, if I type x equals 2, this is what I was talking about. My calculator growing up never did. It only did y equals. So you can type it in your calculator. It will tell you right or wrong. Okay, is this one a function? No, because if I draw a vertical line or use my pen, doesn't it touch the whole time? Okay, that's way more than once, so this is not a function. Okay, my domain, does this go left and right forever? No. What's the only number it stays at for x? 2. So my domain is 2. Does it go up and down forever? Yes, so my range is all real numbers. Okay, we're not going to do all of the back. We're going to do the first one and then just talk about a couple things on the second one. Okay, you do see this on your test. Cough, cough, hint, hint. Okay, so it says a gym charges a one-time registration fee plus a monthly membership fee. The total cost is linear based on the number of months. And then it says for 2 months, the total cost is $70, and for 6 months, the total cost is $150. It doesn't tell me the starting point, and it doesn't tell me how much it costs to begin with, right? Okay, so I do know, though, at x is 2, because time is, x is months, that I'm going to pay $70. And I do know at x is 6, my months and my money is going to be $150. So I know 2 points. Can I find something with that? Yeah, I can find my m and my b. And we're going to start with slope. How do I find slope here? Yeah, look, x1, y1, x2, y2. I want y'all to set that up and solve. Ready, go. Set that up and solve. Okay, when I typed out my calculator, what do we get?
20.
20. So my slope is 20. Okay, so I still have to find my y-intercept. So I'm going to plot points. I know 2 is 70. And I know 6 is 150. Well, if I know I'm paying $20 a month, and at 2 months I paid $70, what's $20 less than that? 50. So at 1 month I would pay 50. What's $20 less than that? What? 30. Does that follow the pattern? Yeah, you could also have realized this is 20 over 1 for my slope, right? Well, isn't my y's counting by 10? So up 10, 20 over 1. And then I could also go down 10, 20, left 1. So both of those would work. So my b is 30. Now, we are not connecting our dots here because it tells us that you cannot have a partial month membership. So in between 1 and 2 doesn't make sense, so we can't connect the dots. So this is what we call a discrete graph, which is dots only. And we have enough information to write our equation. What is my slope? 20. What goes after slope? Plus 30. Good job. Because what's in between the numbers doesn't make sense. So we're counting months, we're not measuring. Okay, another thing too is if you connect the dots, you're saying everything in between makes sense. Can you get 1.1 months of a membership? No, you have to have a full membership. So that's why the in-between doesn't make sense. Okay, I want y'all to type this equation in your calculator. Okay, pay attention really, 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 really careful right now. We're not clicking plus sign table because then you have to build the table. Do I want to build the table? No, I want the computer to do it. Yes? So you're going to click the settings or the cogwheel and then click that table. See how it built it for me? I didn't have to build it. Okay, when I have an equation, the calculator will build it for me. Well, it tells us a customer signing up for a gym membership and plans to keep it for 1 to 6 months. Okay, if the gym does not allow partial month memberships, again, doesn't allow decimals, what would my domain and range be? Well, do negatives make sense here? Can you have negatives? What's the least amount it said that he'll have it for? 1. So I'm going to erase the 0, the 1, and the -1 and the -2. What's the most it said he's going to keep this membership? 6. So I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Isn't that all my options? And if I click this magnifying glass, it'll zoom in. Okay, now it did connect the dots because it's just the calculator. We can't tell it discrete or not. But there's my domain and my range. Isn't your domain just a list of all your x's? So my domain here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my range is a list of all my y's. So 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150. All of our y's. So we can make the calculator build our domain and range for us when it comes to discrete graphs. Okay. Now we're not going to go all the way through this last one. I will tell you this last one is continuous. Okay. How do I know that before even reading it? There's a line. Yeah, it's a line. The closed dots are where we're going to use equal to, but the line is what's telling us continuous. Okay, so it's telling us that a business owner purchased a delivery van for $62,500. So this dot in the middle is $62,500. Just so we know. Okay, and then what I want you to realize is happening is when you buy a vehicle and you drive out of the parking lot, your car depreciates, right? Okay, it loses every time you drive more, every time you use it more, you put more time on it, you're losing value in your car, right? So this is a graph depicting how long it took them to lose their value. Cool? Okay, so what that means is it's continuous because you're continuously losing value. Now, this first question, we're just going to do the domain and range questions at the bottom. This first question says, what is the domain and range of the entire function? Well, if I'm saying the entire function, I'm talking about the whole equation, meaning it's going to go on forever, both directions. Well, does it go left forever then? We're not looking at the story. We're not looking at the dots. We're thinking the whole line. Then it does go left forever, and it also goes right forever. So my domain would be all real numbers. And my range would also be all real numbers because it's also going down forever and up forever. Now, then the next question says, what is the domain and range of the function for the situation? So now we're not looking at the extension of this graph. We're looking at just the piece we see, right, with the endpoints. So now I have 2 endpoints, which means I'm going to have to use a less than sandwich. So less than x, less than. Does it have any open dots? No, it does not. So we're going to use equal to as well. What is the farthest left this graph goes for the x-axis? Not quite. That's my y, but what's the x of that point? 0. And what's the farthest right it goes? 10. There's my domain. Again, we're going to use the less than sandwich for the range. And we're not going to look at the x values here. We're just going to look at the y values. So what is the x value of this lowest, what is the y value of this lowest point? And what's the y value of the highest point? Yes.